Have you ever been so into something that you're utterly consumed by it? That happens to me a lot as a writer. When I'm in the zone, I'm in it. But if you've ever been that in the zone, you know it's hard to be interrupted because you're just so focused. And if it happens that someone manages to get your attention and snaps you out of that zone, well, I don't know about you and how you react, but at best I'm annoyed, and at worst, well, let's just say it ain't pretty. Take the other night, for example. There I was in that zone, and when I got interrupted, well, it was about as ugly could be. I'll get to that. But first, let me set the scene. There I was in my very messy office recording a Haunt Jaunts podcast episode based on a post that I'd written earlier that day. How will ghost adventures investigate H.H. Holmes's murder house when it doesn't exist? It's pretty good. It does exist, sort of. Anyways, I'd spent most of the day thinking about H.H. Holmes, reviewing the notes I'd written on passages that I'd marked in Eric Larson's Devil in the White City, and I was staring at a photo of Holmes a lot that day. And it was a photo I'd seen before, and it always struck me as a little bit unremarkable. Not so much the picture, but the man. He didn't look either very dangerous or charming with his long mustache and bowler hat. Not that charming always comes across in looks. That's more of a personality trait, right? But, I can't talk to him, and I can only assume what he was like and based on reports that people said. But on this day, I studied him a little more closely, trying to figure out, could you see evil in him, and what had women found so appealing about him? Why did they think he was handsome? Because I never really thought he was very attractive. So I was looking really close at his features, trying to figure out something. And the more that I looked, the more I noticed new things about him. Maybe he was a little more attractive than I was giving him credit for. There seemed to be something about him, especially those eyes. In the photo, they have an almost dreamy, far away look sometimes. But I couldn't help but think, what was he thinking in the moment that this picture was taken? Was he thinking of his murder castle? Was he thinking of the victims that he'd lured to their deaths there? The money he'd made in various scams? Was he thinking ahead to new murders or new nefarious endeavors he hoped to carry out? Was he trying to beguile the photographer? Maybe find a way out of not paying him for his services? Because he did that a lot. He'd stiff people that he owed money to, contractors and stuff. Or was he just concerned with trying to get the best likeness of himself that he could? I don't know. But those eyes, I just kept going back to the eyes all the time. And the more that I looked at them, the more I felt they were trying to stare back at me and maybe bewitch me or something. I don't know. Because really, every time I looked at the photo, it never quite seemed to look the same way twice. 1 second, he almost looked happy, like maybe he was about to laugh at something, or they had just told a joke. But then the next time I'd look, he almost had a wistful or forlorn look about him. And it started to sort of freak me out. But part of the problem was I wasn't feeling very good, and it was late. And the sun had long since set. My husband, Wayne, had gone up to bed. And I was pretty tired myself. And I just wanted to finish recording the episode and upload it so I could go join him, because it had been a long day, and like I said, I wasn't feeling very good, so it's kind of reaching the end of my energy. But however, when I was creating the episode, it took longer than I'd planned, partly because of Wayne and the cats. Both had decided to make loads of noise at different times when I first tried to record. And as I listened to my first take, I was kind of miffed because I could hear, even with the office doors closed, that the mic had picked up meows, cupboards banging shut, doors opening and closing, and that just wasn't going to work. So now the house was quiet. Everyone had settled down in bed. I had peace and quiet to hurry up and try again. And the house was super, super still, and not even outside. The traffic outside on the street was quiet, so it was really great. But the stillness also is a little unsettling, especially when I have an active imagination and the type of subject matter I was focused on. And focused, the key word, I was super focused. However, I like I said, I knew I just didn't have that much energy left. So I was really trying to just stay focused and get it done. And it was all going smoothly until nearly the end. I had maybe a minute more, if that, of script to read. And then I heard this noise. One that I was like crossing my fingers, the mic hadn't caught. But even if it had, I just told myself, listen, you're close enough. You can easily just delete and re-record this little bit. You're okay. So I stopped and I listened, and it was fine. And I started recording again, and that's when it happened. My office has French doors and they're glass. So I saw movement outside, and I could kind of see a cat. They hate when the doors are closed. And the hallway was really dark out there, but I could see my cat Tabby, and she was looking back at me, but there was something next to her, and I barely had time to register that, yes, there is a man there. Those are man legs, when my husband cupped his hands around his face to peek through one of the panes of glass, and well, I can't describe it. Listen, but warning, strong language ahead, and earmuff alert if little ones are within listening distance. Who does she think the dark force is, though? Hopefully not little Howard, although he did die there. Or maybe it's somehow H.H. Holmes's energy still attached and manifesting in the house? Or is it something else? Dad, you scared the fucking shit out of me, god damn it! What the fuck are you creeping around for? You gave me a fucking heart attack right now. What the fuck? God damn, you scared the shit out of me. Don't creep. Go to bed. I'm just recording.
What you're doing?
Just go to bed. I'm just recording this.
Don't you have to be so mean?
Because you scared. You don't understand my heart. I was ready to fucking throw my computer, race out the window. I'm like, who the fuck's creeping in the house? See? I told you it wasn't pretty, but it sure was funny. Now that my heart has recovered. And I love that I have proof for people who think I'm always happy and sunny that I never get mad or cuss, because I do. Especially when my husband freaks me out in the middle of the night, or should I say when I freak myself out after staring into the eyes of serial killers, writing posts and recording podcasts about them. Or did H.H. Holmes haunt me from beyond the grave for my macabre interest in his story? I'll let you decide.